Many of us are having trouble in finding out who we are beyond our names, beyond our classifications, beyond our titles. So I'm Tyler, for example. That's my birth name. If I wanted to find out who Tyler is beyond the name, beyond my mirror image, I need to slowly start peeling back the classifications, the titles, and the labels that I exist in day to day. And the reason people think of the scariest thoughts at night, the reason we think of all the things we put off at night, is because we exist inside of this culturally trained society. And this culturally trained society does not exist. It is an illusion into what we should be or could be, basically. And one of those cultural beliefs is we're human. So when you're trying to think of who you are beyond your birth name, what you are, who am I beyond Tyler, you exist in the label and classification of human. So now you are creating these walls and boundaries for who you are and what you are, which exist in very clever layers of masks. And I've used this as an example before. If you're a human being, your boundary is stretched out this far. If you think you're a spirit, your boundary is stretched out a little farther. If you think you're a soul or a god, your boundary is just stretched out that much farther. But the truth in the matter is to be conscious doesn't require a name. To be conscious simply means you are able to self-analyze and establish an identity based on your external and internal experience. So to be conscious is not an identity at all. It establishes an identity through being conscious itself. So with that said, Tyler is a title, God is a title, human is a title, and it's a title and a classification that we exist in through the mind. The mind is the only thing that told us we were human. The mind is the only thing that told me I was Tyler. The mind is the only thing that created a God. The mind is what created every single thing that I know and exist in. And not just what I exist in, but what you exist in as well. So when we're in society, in culture, day to day, and we're not in the forest with nature, we're in a workplace setting, we're around family, we're around these classifications and titles which prevent us from being able to see beyond the illusion because you exist in the very illusion. So, if you go to your job, that job is a part of your illusion because that job cleverly masks who you are beyond the title name. The job helps mask what you are. You exist in that illusion of a job. And it's the same with family. You exist in your family. By having the idea of family, you exist in that family. To have an idea of what you like to do. For instance, I like to go to the beach, play sports. Part of Tyler, a part of who Tyler is, exists in sports and going to the beach. So, now my point is, if who Tyler is exists in what I do, what I like, where I go, and who I'm with, when you peel back each layer to the illusion of Tyler, who I'm with, where I go, what I do, what I think, you will find that Tyler does not exist because Tyler is a created title or thought that I've given the consciousness of I, just as you have been given your own consciousness or name to the I. And as I said, when I was in this earlier stage of awakening, I was saying the answer to people. And this is why I said, don't cheat yourself. All is one, but one is never one thing. One is never one. And this is the great contradiction of life. All is one, but one is never one thing. And this is something I was saying to myself, but I was saying it to myself through the mind of Tyler. If you want to fully understand oneness and become the God that you seek outside of you, you have to view it from the eyes of the I, of consciousness, and not your birth name. Because when we think of things through our birth name, we are filtering them through the finite mind. Therefore, you will never find it. And that's why I posted the status. The human never finds the alien it seeks, because the human is the alien it seeks. These definitions and titles are just giving you words to what a conscious being in a form is. But it's still all one. If all is one, all is a single consciousness, no matter the mask, the form, the definition, the word, the title, the appearance, it does not matter. It will always appear different. It will even convince itself it is different. And that's the very trick of the one. It's not he, it is not she. It is it. And it is tricking itself. And that's something I've said to people before too. Through these government conspiracies, they are also you. These people who a lot of people in government conspiracies consider they, and a lot of people will ask them, who's the they you're referring to? The trick is they don't exist. They exist in your illusion where government is corrupt and these things are happening because you are creating them. You are creating the they. And that's how very powerful you are. That's why they worship an all-seeing eye. And that's why they try to control your mind and not the physical reality. Most people studying government conspiracies think they're trying to control the physical. They could care less of the physical because they know the physical deteriorates and is meant to be broken. It does not last, and nothing lasts forever. So they're not seeking to control the material. They're seeking to control your mind, because they can convince you they have any control over you to begin with, then you will believe into it, just like a kid who believes there's something under his bed or in his closet. There's nothing there, but he will convince himself otherwise, just as most people in government conspiracies have convinced themselves they are in charge. They are enslaving the masses. They are doing all this to the people. If all is one, and all is an extension of my own consciousness here and now, they are me. And why are they in existence? Where you have a good law, you have a bad law, and you will never overbalance one over the other. This is a perfectly balanced and dual creation. And one side does not conquer the other, because as long as you are posing one side can conquer the other, you have yet to realize the two sides are one and the same. So, Democrat or Republican will always have a middle ground, with one side blaming this side and this side blaming the other, but the truth is, the Democratic and Republican Party are your two split hemispheres of the brain. You're split in your hemispheres of the brain between two polar opposites, and Democrat and Republican are those two polar opposites. So what government is doing is they're playing one side of the brain against the other, and they're having you pick one side or the other, when the truth is there are two sides of one brain, one mind. You do not bring the polarities against each other, you unite them. And that's why people bring their hands together. I can't bring my hand together because I'm holding my phone, but that's why people bring their hands together to pray. You're joining the hands together, joining the hemispheres together into a single unity to allow them to become one. And that's what the very Kundalini, rising up your spine, is all about. There's two snakes because you have two hemispheres, and them joining together as one is you realizing the oneness in between what you call you and I. God and Tyler, higher self, lower self, above and below. You're joining those two together instead of pushing them apart. You will never realize it when you're trying to filter everything through a finite lens of the ego. So a lot of people who can't get past their own selves, who can't seem to make the connection, they will turn to a spiritual guru, right? Or they will seek out a forest or somewhere where they can meditate or get lost in, similar to this. And it's because you're looking to silence the mind. You want to get out of your own way. You want to make the connection of how you, as in your birth name, and you, the one you see in the mirror, the one you've fallen so in love with, you want to know how you are this, but also a part of God. You want to better understand who you are and where you go when you die. But in order to do this, you have to be ready to take that gut shot to the ego and realize you are not the temporary identity, the borrowed identity you have established through your existential experience thus far. That is not what you are. It is a gift still, because how beautiful is it to be anything at all? A lot of us think it's a trick when we first find out, and it is a gut shot. I've cried my eyes out the first time I found out. But you realize the beauty in it, how beautiful it is to be anything at all. I have the free will to manifest and become anything I want to be here and now. A lot of us like to dream because we think dreams are the only way impossibilities become possible. But the truth of the matter is, these very grounds that I walk on now, where we are here and now, what we call the physical, is the very dream. And we have the power, the intuitiveness, to bring any impossibility into possibilities, here and now. And that's the power behind making this dream a conscious reality, making this dream a conscious creation, and finding out who you are beyond your birth name. So if I was Tyler looking for my origin, my beginning, the truth is, Tyler's beginning was point A to point B, birthing to death. That's where Tyler's beginning is. But if I want to find out my beginning beyond Tyler, I have to put aside my attachment to Tyler and let it go. It's not easy to do for everyone, but you have to let it go and realize I was never Tyler until point A, when I birthed out and began this manifestation of Tyler. So this is a borrowed experience, and when I can begin to peel back the layers to my illusion where Tyler exists in, strip my family, because I've already had it done. I've done psychedelics, and when you do psychedelics, you witness the death of the family. Everything you know and love dissolves, including yourself. But what it's showing you is, once you've mourned and let go of everything you think you lose or you've lost, it comes right back. And that's the greatest trick. I was crying my eyes out, mourning my eyes, or mourning to death and crying my eyes out over me losing my family, but what I was doing was dissolving everything I thought was, and then it reappeared again. I lost myself to find myself. But the reason I had to shed my family is because my family was an attachment or a part of the illusion where Tyler existed in. So the medicine, the psychedelics were trying to show me, if you want to see beyond Tyler, there's a price to pay. And if you want to see that, you have to pay that price. I was willing to pay that price, and I shed my ego and let everything I love dissolve around me. From my own reality to my family and my friends and everything where Tyler exists was dissolved. And it showed me that these people are a part of me, everything is a part of me, and I don't have to attach myself to Tyler or to anything that Tyler is attached to. It already is me. And it's all me. But just as it's all me, it's all you. And that's how an infinite energy of consciousness works. It can never be destroyed. You are only here and there to appear gone, but then you come back again. It's just like the waves. You have to crest and trough in order to come back again. And it's repetitive, over and over again, continuous. But if you're trying to make the connection as to what's separating you from God, who is God, who are you, you have to be willing to peel back the layers to your illusion, which is very uncomfortable. People become very hostile when you start attacking or peeling back the layers of their illusion. And the reason there's so much hostility is not because these are your beliefs, but who you think you are exists in your beliefs. You see that? So you're not just defending your beliefs, you're defending your very self and being, which you have created and established through these experiences. And when someone begins to peel back the layers to your experiences, you will become hostile and you will say, no, 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 this is true, and this is right, because you exist in there. Who you think you are exists in those beliefs. So it's not just you defending your beliefs, you are defending your very being in those beliefs. Because you exist in those beliefs. Who you think you are exists in those beliefs. And those beliefs are established through your internal thoughts and external experience. And through the internal and external, you balance the two out to match what's in your head with what's in reality, to create who you are, to establish your identity, and that's who you think you are. And that's why I've said we can all share the same space, but we're not sharing the same experience, because we're all self-aware on different levels, which is what is absolutely creating a different experience for all of us. And it's just that powerful. That is why knowledge is power. And I never understood the term knowledge is power fully until this year. I will admit that. This year is the year knowledge is power fully hit me. Because if who I am, which is Tyler, that's my birth name, if who I am as Tyler exists through my job, my family, my social interactions, all these things, then all I have to do, it's very simple when you're honest with yourself, all you have to do is peel back, and again, it's uncomfortable, it's hard, it hurts, believe me, I know, but you have to lose yourself to discover yourself again. And don't cheat yourself. Don't be like religion and convince yourself you found a black cat in a dark room that's not there. Because again, you're only hurting yourself. You're only cheating your own results. But if you're honest with yourself, begin slowly peeling back the layers of your illusion. If what I call Tyler exists in my family, then that family is a crutch. And this is, I'm going to reference Terence McKenna here in a second. But that's a crutch for you. If Tyler exists in his family, that is a crutch that I will hold on to. And that's why in my bio it says, the hardest part is letting go to everything you thought you knew, including self. The hardest part is letting go. Because these things that allow us to exist as ourselves, they're crutches. And this is only a message for the people who want to see beyond their name, beyond the temporary. But if you exist in your family, that is a crutch. It's something for you to hold on to and grab onto and say, no, I have family, I have this. If you exist in your job, that is a crutch and something for you to hold on to. And it's the same with anything else. The activities, the things you enjoy doing, your likes, your dislikes, these are all a part of your masks to your illusion of who you think you are, of your established self. And they're all giving you things to hold on to, which is what's keeping you from letting go. The hardest part is letting go. So if you want to let go, realize you have to let go of family, your job, your social classifications, your interactions, all the things that you like as Tyler, or as your name. You have to get out of your own way so you can see clear. Because as I've said, if you can put the ego aside, you will be filtering every single thing through the ego, keeping you in your own way. And that's why I've said, what you seek comes at a price, which is the shedding of the ego. What you seek comes at a price, and it's the ultimate price. It's a price very few of us can pay. Because it's in these moments where you will realize there's no one coming to help you. You may have friends, you may have family, you may have people who would die for you, but there is no one who can help you, who can do the work for you, or who is going to save you when going into spirituality, but yourself. And while that can be scary for some, it's liberating and empowerment to others who have been waiting for this. I mean, just think. To find God and get out of your own way, you don't even have to take psychedelics. Just do as I've said. Begin peeling back the layers to your own illusion honestly. If what I call Tyler exists in my beliefs, and I get hostile or defensive when my beliefs are challenged, then it's clear. Who I call Tyler exists in my beliefs. And that's why what we are is always changing. Remember Alice? She's like, I think I know who I am, but as of now I don't, because I've changed several times since. We're constantly changing every day, every second, every minute of the day. We're never the same thing. And that's the very message behind DMT or psychedelics. You're constantly moving, constantly changing, constantly shifting, and you're seeing into infinity that nothing is forever. And while that's a blessing, it's a curse. Nothing is forever. That only scares the ego, because the ego thinks you die and go nowhere. But that's the very trick to the ego, is you are not the ego. And the ego only exists in the mind and through your beliefs. So, again, while nothing lasts forever, and that's bad, nothing lasts forever, that's good. And I'll say this too, for the people who have done psychedelics and feel like their families aren't real, because I've heard this over 10 times. It's a very common, it seems like, side effect from psychedelics. So don't feel like you're alone if you've felt this or have gone through this, but I've had over 10 people message me freaking out after doing psychedelics, ayahuasca, DMT, any form, psilocybin, any form, but telling me they're crying. Most of them were crying, hysterical, scared, saying that their families don't exist, and they're terrified, they don't know what to do, and they just saw their families melt or dissolve before them, and they know now that their families aren't real. And what I tell them is, it's not that they're not real, because remember, the mind creates real and fake. It's not that they're not real. You are seeing beyond your illusion and into the fact that you are all one being. You are literally all one being, and that's why we all refer to the self as I, the singular letter I, or self. Because we are all this I or self, which makes us technically the same person. The same person. If we had no mirror, and we could never see ourselves, the only way we would know we didn't look different is through the eyes of you. You would see everyone and say, well, everyone looks different, but I can't see myself. Technically, we're all the same person because we're all the same I or self. What makes us different is the exterior vessel and then the internal thoughts based on the external experience. Because as I said, we're all sharing the same space but having a different external reality and experience. So again, there's the contradiction again. While all is one, one is never one. One is never one thing. So while we're all the same person, we are not the same person. We are all the same consciousness, is the trick. We're not the same person, but we're all the same consciousness. And through this consciousness, we are becoming different people. And that's a bomb for you right there. I should just drop the mic right there with that. We're one consciousness becoming different people, and you've heard it here first. And that's why I say we're not human. We are the alien we seek. We can become anything we want. If I want to be born tomorrow or have a son tomorrow and classify him as an alien instead of a human, I guarantee it would make every news station in America that someone's calling themselves an alien over a human. But when you get to the bottom of the BS, these are just title words, definitions, labels. It does not make it what is. They're just masks, cleverly hidden masks. Because ask yourself, why did we have to be called human at all? We didn't. We gave ourselves this label out of thin air to allow us to help better understand what we think we are. We're having a human experience. No, we're having a spiritual experience. The truth of the matter is you're having a conscious experience where consciousness can become anything it wants. Alien, human, soul, spirit, God. You have the free will to become any of those. And it's only the conscious one that realizes this that will no longer seek out aliens in outer space, or wait for God to fall from the sky, or wait for anything at all. You have the power because you've now saved yourself. You now realize who you are beyond your birth name. Which in my opinion is one of the hardest realizations one can do by themselves, especially without psychedelics. Because when I didn't have psychedelics, before my psychedelic journey, I convinced myself I had it. I swore I had it. I swore I understood it. I swore I got it. All is one, but I'm still Tyler. I couldn't put that aside. All is one, but I'm still Tyler. That was without my psychedelic journey. I couldn't put aside the fact that I am Tyler. And that's what was keeping me in my own way. All may be one, and God can be that one, but I am Tyler. I don't care what else. So as long as I was in that mindset of I'm Tyler, I would have gotten in my own way and never made the realization. And it's in this moment you will realize this man that they talk about as Jesus, or any man in any book that's realized God within himself, was you. It was you in this incarnation. Just as you're incarnating here and now and asking the questions of your origin, of your beginning, of a greater power, of all these things, these are the same questions and realizations your other incarnations had and figured out within themselves and then recorded into books. Only these incarnations have been turned into forms of worship rather than a form of practice. We should be practicing these beliefs or these things. We shouldn't be worshiping these incarnations. We should be practicing the knowledge behind them. But churches have turned it into a business where you have to donate to get this knowledge. And the knowledge they're giving you is keeping you vulnerable and in your own way, keeping you coming back to the church and feeding the beast. So you're never getting out of your own way. You're never making the realization. You are the church. The kingdom of God lives within. Any incarnation that has ever realized God was you. And it was not just you, it was all of us. The only thing that separated you was your time and place, your appearance. You appear different, you appear separate. That's the very point. All is one, but one can never appear as one thing. You are listening to yourself realize God in another time, another veil, another dimension. Hello. Just as I'm doing now, I'm realizing God in this incarnation, here and now, and recording it. Just as Terence McKenna and all these other people have. Terence McKenna said, once you go into Wonderland, you become a part of it. In other words, once you go into a psychedelic trip, it's a point of no return. And psychedelics isn't something I encourage, but if you're looking for assistance of getting out of your own way, and you might need some help, well, wouldn't be a bad thing to check out. That's all I'd say, but they've absolutely helped me in my journey in realizing everything I have today. But I don't sell them, I don't push them, I don't encourage them. When you're ready, you will do the research on psychedelics and decide if you want to use the assistance or not. But as I said, some of us want psychedelics, some of us just need a forest. Meditation. But like I said, when you're in your journey of self-discovery, don't cheat yourself, don't fake yourself, don't pretend yourself. I see a lot of people in the communities, and I don't try to pick on anyone, but they'll post statuses of these realizations or this, things that have happened in the room, like paranormal activity or things like that, and it just seems so exaggerated in a sense. And again, I'm not picking on anybody. I'm just trying to be that voice that encourages us to push ourselves to our limits, beyond the boundary, right? So I just want everyone to get the best result they can, you know? So don't convince yourself you found something if you haven't, because it will become real. It becomes as real as you make it. And if you're convincing yourself you found something that isn't there, you're already tricking yourself subconsciously. And you're doing it for others. So others think, wow, he has this, or he has that, or he's found this. Do it for yourself. Stay true to self. You don't have to trick anybody, fool anybody. You're already tricking yourself enough. This incarnation and this life is already the trick. It's a matter of bringing sense to the senseless. Everything is nonsense here, and we're bringing sense to it. That's why we establish time, to bring sense to the infinite chaos. Infinity is chaos, time is order. And through them both is us here and now. So I'm going to wrap up this video. I got my message out, I feel, and I'm pretty sure, you know, if this message resonates with you, please feel free to help me share this message out. I'm blocked from sharing in groups again, so if this message resonates with you, you know, I appreciate any shares I can get. And not only that, I appreciate everybody who's been giving me mentions or referrals. I have so many people, and if I don't ever respond to you, I'm really sorry. I hope no one takes it personal. I couldn't respond on this one guy's comment because I wasn't friends with this one guy, but I messaged him just to let him know I'm so appreciative, because since I don't ask for donations or tips or money, the best thing people can do for me is to just mention my name, tag me, share my content. That is the best thing you can do. So I appreciate that. A million percent. So thank you for all the love and support and the mentions. That greatly helps me. I'm going to leave a short minute here. Any questions? Anyone have any questions or any topics they want me to talk about real quick? I'm going to get off. Just remember, you don't need to become hostile when somebody starts peeling back the layers of your illusion. You don't need to defend the ego, because you are not the ego. You are witness to the ego. You are establishing your character or your identity through this ego, and that's all the ego is a character. It's an identity. It's not what you actually are. Therefore, you have no means to defend it. You don't have to defend it. You don't have to justify it to him or her. You don't have to defend it or do any of that, because it's not what you are. So if someone's saying your ego is fat, your ego is ugly, your ego, when I say ego, I mean your appearance, your vessel. But if someone's saying it's fat, it's ugly, you're this, you're that, one, ask yourself this, like you did in kindergarten: is it true or is it not true? It's not true? Okay, well, so what? And then two, am I my ego or not? Am I this body? So the body can be fat, it can be this, it can be that. Am I this? Yes or no? No. And am I the body? Yes or no? No. Be gone. Done. No sweat here. And remember, the people calling names and making problems within you house the problems within themselves. That's when you're viewing through the eyes of judgment. When you view through the eyes of judgment and you come across a problem in someone, the problem is in you. Right? Because everything and everyone, every situation is your mirror. And that's why a lot of people who will speak and begin peeling back the layers of our illusions, we get mad at the speakers. Because they're not only attacking your beliefs, but they're attacking who you call yourself. Because who you call yourself, who you call self, exists in your beliefs. of cleverly layered masks. So for instance, this one's for Addie. This one's for Addie. If you believe sage is going to sage your house, or smudging is going to save your house from these evil spirits and these demons and whatnot, if you're that self-aware to the sage works and smudging works, then it absolutely does, because that's your level of self-awareness, and in your reality it absolutely works. But we have to realize this is where you got to bring quantum physics into the spiritual realm a little bit. Quantum physics shows that everything is a 0 or a 1, which is dual. And I talk about duality all the time. There's always a dual principle. And where there's a 0, there's a 1, and vice versa. So while something is a 0, something is also a 1. While something is happening, it has also not happened, and vice versa. So while someone thinks sage and smudging their houses and whatnot is going to work, which is a 0, in another reality, such as my own, it's a 1. It doesn't work, because there's no need for it. These energies, these spirits, these demons, these whatever you call them, that you're viewing externally to you, are really inside of your mind. They're internal, but you're bringing them into the external reality by not controlling them within the mind. It's the same thing with demons in Bibles. And these devils and demons that have been drawn into a form to look nasty and mean and scary, these were demons that were demons of the mind. But when we don't control our demons, they possess the mind. And when they possess the mind, we extract these demons into a materialized form and draw them into forms, and there they become real. So instead of us dealing with our own demons and doing the inner work, we're materializing them into a form and extracting them into the external reality for everyone to have to deal with them. And that's how people get possessed by demons, is by falling for the fear behind them. By believing in them, you have given them fear. And I've said this before, fear alone is what keeps any belief alive. Not just religious beliefs, any belief. Fear alone is what keeps any belief alive. Religions would collapse overnight if the fear behind them was seen through. They scared people to death in religion with the fear of going to hell forever. With fear of being punished forever, of someone watching you always, of someone judging you always, of someone creating rules and sins, and if you break, you're burning in hell forever. These are all fear tactics. And it's no wonder they have people scared and terrified and bowing down to this person, just like you would a corrupt king. They're not empowering people, they're scaring the shit out of them. And they're keeping them vulnerable and on their knees. The fear alone is what keeps these people on their knees. The fear alone is what keeps these people paying their money to this beast and going to the religious churches. And it's the same with the mind. Fear alone is what creates and concretes any belief. Once you see through that fear and you face it, you cannot be possessed by the demon. And that's something my good friend Gemini has said, that demons don't possess us as humans. Humans possess demons because we lose control of the mind. They all exist in the mind. So when we become possessed by demons, they've taken over our mind. We lost control of our mind. It's not that you're no longer you, but you've lost control of your mind. And that's why doing the inner work is so hard. When you do the inner work and are faced with doing inner work, it's in that moment that you have no choice but to realize you are your savior. Nothing's coming to save you. This is all in your mind. And while you can talk to a therapist or anyone you want about it, no one can face it and go through it but you. But damn it, no one needs to. You have the power. Realize that. You have the power. Also realize you're not alone. In this space and in this time, when you're going through this and doing inner work and transforming yourself, it's going to absolutely feel like you're alone. But remember, you are not. And if you've done psychedelics and witnessed your family and everything that you know dissolve, realize you're only losing yourself to discover yourself again. Some people are terrified. If I let go, will I come back? If I let go, will I be able to come back to who I was or what I thought I was? Yes, you will, always. Only the idea of what you called self or whatever will have transformed a little bit. It's just like a caterpillar going into a cocoon to come out as a butterfly. You have to go into the darkness a little bit to transform yourself. So, what inspired this video? I just want to give a little 5-minute ending to this real quick, because this is a very sacred video for me. What inspired this video, though, was me being in these woods. These woods have been a place I've come since I was a kid. And since I was a kid, I didn't have a father figure, I didn't have a role model, so nature was my voice. Nature was my father figure, was my role model, was my guide. I loved nature, I loved the universe, and I loved studying that. And not having a father and being a male had me lack a lot of the male guidance I needed to help establish me into a man. So I had to look for things outside of myself that would be positive influences. And so I just figured, if I don't know who my internal self is, instead of turning to gangs or other bullshit, let me apply this to the universe. So if I don't know who the internal body is, let me try going the external way. So I use nature and I use the universe. Studying the universe, studying the earth, the planets, and everything else to help better guide me into who I am here. And like I said, I used to get so lost in my mind and so overwhelmed by being this small little being right here, this small little person, and looking out into this forest and seeing this huge, just endless forest. I'd be so overwhelmed because I just thought, I don't know who I am here, but I've got to try and figure out what all this is now. And I wasn't making the connections. So eventually I did turn to psychedelics to help assist me, because I was saying all the answers. All is one, but I am still Tyler. So I was still getting in my own way. And through psychedelics, I was able to connect the two positions in space that I thought were foreign to each other. Because again, I thought I was Tyler, and this is external to me. This is totally foreign to me. This is different to me. But what psychedelics showed me and joined my consciousness with was the very ground around me. When you go into a psychedelic trip, everything that you know begins to dissolve. To lay down on a floor, to walk, to get ice, to go get a drink, you don't even have a concept of that anymore. It begins to fade, dissolve. You don't know what anything is. So just to lay on the ground was hard for me. I was laying on the ground, holding the floor, holding the rug, trying to keep the ground there, because I felt like I pretty much knew it was going to disappear. It was going to be gone. So I was literally laying on the ground, holding it, trying to keep it from disappearing. But what was happening was my internal consciousness was joining together with the external ground. In other words, the two separate things became one. And that's why I talked about earlier in this video the joining of the two hemispheres of the brain. And that's what psychedelics shows you, is that anything in duality is really one thing. So what you call you and me, what you call Democrat, Republican, what you call sun and moon, what you call male and female, what you call he and she, what you call up and down, above and below, God and the character, God and man, it does not matter. It is one mind, one principle, and one consciousness, creating the dualistic principle of two, because it has to. While all is one, one is never one. So what's after one? Two. And that's how we get lost in ourselves. That's how we get lost in what we are, is through our reflection. But our reflection never looks the same, and that's the ironic part. That is the the madness behind it. We are all the same thing, but our reflections never look the same. But that depends on your level of self-awareness. That's why they say to close your eyes and open your mind. There's your answer. Close your eyes, open the mind. As long as you're using the physical eyes, you're using the finite mind. As long as you're using the finite mind, you're filtering everything through the ego, which is going to keep you in your own way. Keep you in your insane habits of trying to make the connection, but just failing to do so. Right? Whew. I'm out of breath, though. I've talked for about an hour, I think. I'm going to end this video. Thank you so much to everybody who's watched from start to finish. And if you just joined on here and decided to watch till the end, thank you so much. You're awesome. Thank you to everyone who's helped me share this video out. I'm only going to be able to share this video in one group that I manage, so if you could share this in some groups or share this on your page even, just to get the message out to people on your platform, that'd be awesome. Very thankful for that. Very thankful for you and everybody on here, so thank you. If anyone has any questions or recommendations, anything, let me know. I am going to put this video on my YouTube, though, because this is probably my favorite and most sacred video yet, so. But it's morning here. I don't know what time it is there, but if it's night, have a good night. If it's day, have a good day. Always be conscious. And remember, who you are exists in your beliefs. Or who you are pretending to be, I should say, exists only in your beliefs.